Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the Privacy and the AI Overlords edition. These are recorded live Fridays 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to multiple different streaming platforms. It seems to sometimes be a little haywire because right now, today, as we're recording this, Odyssey is not working. So don't have time to figure it. I already tried to change the stream keys and not even that worked. So whatever. Odyssey's just not working today. So you always got to check if one of the streaming platforms isn't working. It should be. Just check switchedtolinux.com/live. Grab one of the other ones. And there we have it. Let's go ahead and get diving right on in. We're going to start in with a little bit of good news today. I know I should probably do more good news. The problem is good news people don't care about. The bad news, we want to watch the world burn. That's why we had the video title Brainwave Identification. Everyone's terrified of brainwave identification, but you talk about good news and nobody wants to talk about it. There was actually, I heard about a long time ago, a radio station or a TV station that wanted to focus exclusively on good news, and they closed after like 3 months because nobody wanted to watch good news. So let's go ahead and dive in with good news to start. But stick with me. We will talk about brainwave identification before we leave. So Proton VPN, which is one of the better VPNs out there, one of the better free ones. In fact, if you don't have money, you need a VPN, Proton VPN is probably one of the few places that you're not going to pay for it, and you're probably not the product. So that is what they're doing now. Of course, what they're doing now with their new methodology is they're trying to defeat censorship with stealth, which is a new VPN protocol. So remember, most VPNs use the Open VPN protocol. There's a newer one called WireGuard, and WireGuard protocol is faster, although it doesn't work without systemd. Go figure that out. That's actually why my VPN is an Open VPN protocol, because I use MX Linux, which doesn't have systemd in my configuration. Well, they're creating a new protocol for VPN, and it is called Stealth. And what they're doing is, instead of sending traffic over UDP, which is what the default is, at least for OpenVPN, they are actually starting the first pitch through an HTTPS protocol, which basically means it becomes invisible and it just looks like regular traffic. And then they're doing a series of other routes to route it through their individual protocol, allowing you to escape censorship in places where they're trying to crack down on VPNs, like Russia, China, maybe Utah. But we'll get to that in the banned news tonight. So we'll go ahead and talk more about that. But Proton VPN now has the option to use stealth on Android, settings, advanced protocols, and choose stealth. iOS and iPad, go to settings, security options, protocol, and stealth. And then Mac OS VPN, and they don't have anything here for stealth. Is not yet available on Windows or Linux. Well, that sucks, but oh well, that's okay. We'll just go ahead and wait for it. Hopefully it'll come up. I mean, if they got it supported on like Mac, how do you have it supported on Mac and not Linux? That's weird. But anyway, you can check out Proton VPN's new stealth protocol, particularly if you're in a place where they're trying to censor your ability to see the stuff on the internet. And in an update, AirTags, of course, tile trackers, all these things, I think these are the bane of society. I think they should be completely banned. And, of course, Google's going to double down and fill the market with a lot of excessively cheap ones that basically is going to become the stalker, just the stalker haven, I guess. Well, now Apple and Google are introducing a standard to combat AirTag and tile tracker misuse. Now, we don't have a lot of details. All we know is that they published a standard. It's been submitted to proposal. So eventually we will get a little bit more information about this down the road as it passes through some committees and whatnot. Basically, though, it boils down into one standard so that at the operating level on an Apple or an Android smartphone, you can scan for any of these Bluetooth trackers. Now, the problem that I have with this, of course, outside of the obvious that these things basically have more usage in stalking people than they have any practicality, of course, unless you're in New York City, and we'll get into that in the silly news today. But with these, the big problem is if you are basically a Luddite and you don't want a smartphone, or you don't want to walk around with Bluetooth perpetually on, because you should not have Bluetooth perpetually on your phone, then you can be tracked and you don't even know it. You'll have to regularly know to turn on Bluetooth. This is why I think we need to just get a separate standalone scanner. You can just keep it with you, turn the thing on, look for scanners, plug it in, throw it in your car, whatever else, and some tracker's following you around. Bleep, 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 bleep. You know, I lost the beeps, the bleeps, and the creeps, you know. The beeps, the bleeps, and the creeps. Is that what it was? So as that happens, the problem is these are being used for stalking more than anything else. So you'll either break down into a society that has the phones perpetually on that's looking for these, or you will have the phones or the people that don't have phones at all and they don't know they're being stalked. And so it's kind of creating this two-tier society. Some people are easier to be stalked and some people are not. Now, the good news is most people are running around with phones, and most people do the stupid thing and keeping all of their Bluetooth on all the time like they shouldn't be doing, and whatever happens from there. So with that, that is kind of what we are seeing, but at least we're seeing some form of standard, and hopefully more information will be known about that in the future. Now, going beyond HIPAA, Washington health privacy law is enacted. It has a broad reach, amorphous scope, big litigation risk. The big problem is, like most of the other privacy laws, it's fairly short in its actual practicality. As I said in the video that will go out tomorrow on the new EULA browser, allegedly a privacy browser, but you'll have to watch the video to know why I say allegedly. These are not privacy policies. These are forced consent policies, basically. Now, this one does have a specific line in it saying that you cannot be forced to consent. So that's one of the things that happens. Oh, you have to have your kid in the daycare. And to have your kid in the daycare, you have to download this app. And to download this app, you have to agree to their terms of service. There's actually verbiage in this that says you cannot force somebody to give up their privacy. And there is a large fine if you attempt to coerce somebody to give up their privacy. The problem that we have with it is when you get down into the exceptions. Generally speaking, the law's requirements do not include personal information used to engage in public or peer-reviewed scientific, historical, statistical research that adheres to all other applicable federal and state privacy laws, nor does it apply to personal information governed by Graham-Leachy-Bailey Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and certain Washington state health statuses. The act requirement placed on regulated entities and small business and processors will not apply where such regulated entities are collecting, using, disclosing consumer health data for purposes of detecting cyber attacks, or to respond to incidents of fraud or illegal behavior. It should be noted that personal information in the act does not include de-identified data. So, in other words, yes, your data can still be fed into Google. It can still be used to feed AI. It can still be used without your consent in scientific research, and it can still be given for a lot of other reasons. Basically, it's, we're not allowing you to use the data to sell to somebody. But other than that, the bill is overall not too bad. It is a little bit wider and broader in scope, and it's actually written a little bit clear to really understand that the heart of it is to protect health information. A lot of it really is written to protect people. That one of the things in there, it's actually part 3 here. It prohibits implementing a geofence around entities that provide in-person healthcare services if the geofence is used for certain purposes, including to identify or track customers seeking healthcare services. Basically, this is that whole abortion Roe versus Wade overturn issue. This is one of the precipices of getting this thing passed, is to say, oh, we can't track people as they go into an abortion clinic. Great. If that's what it takes for you to get to know about privacy, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and count our victories in the privacy war where we get it, because at least now you realize that you might actually have something to hide, even if half of us, including me, would disagree with your final conclusion. But you know what? That's between you and God. So we'll go ahead and leave that one there for right now, lest we get into a bigger debate. But it really is written in such a way as to protect people's identities and whatever else from figuring out all the different odds and ends of where you're seeking stuff. So for that reason, it's not a bad bill. And on to our final hitting the books. Who is excited to have their brainwaves scanned as personal ID? This is actually an excerpt from a new book that came out. I'm going to look for this book when next time I'm looking for a book to read. The Battle for Your Brain, Defending the Right to Think Freely in an Age of Neurotechnology. So this is, and we're going to actually get into in the business section, there's actually another company competing with Neuralink doing brain implants right now. So that's exciting. We have all this stuff going back and forth. But what's going on here is she's actually talking about the technologies already here and being experimented. We're talking these ID numbers are stored in centralized government databases along with significant personal data, including birth date, place, birth date and place, height, weight, eye color, address, and other information. Most systems have long included at least one piece of biometric data, the static photo used in passports and driver's licenses, but governments are moving quickly towards a more expansive biometric features that include the brain. So what are they doing? Well, they're looking at the way you respond to certain stimuli or the way your mind just happens to work. All of this produces a fingerprint that is available on a sensitive brain scan, and so they can ID you based upon that. The big problem with this is it can be done in passive ways if you're not careful. And some of it is like, how do you respond to listening to your favorite song? This is the thing that makes it most dangerous, is that it is a combination of the objective reality of the composition of your brain and the subject emotions of how your brain manipulates with the world. And that really is what makes this unique idea. And this is where we had the ideas about possibility of implanting memories or things like that. And so what we have here is a case where people are looking at brainwave activity as biometric data and then utilizing this to identify people based on EEG brainwave information. And so it's a very interesting and fascinating read through this, and I'm definitely going to have a look at the book. But yeah, this is the thing, is they are already experimenting with this and in some cases utilizing some of this to identify people based on how their brainwaves are. In fact, Computing Forever's channel not too long ago did a video looking at one of the smart city / Marxist utopia ideas that's being pushed by the globalists right now. And in that video, everybody is being perpetually monitored in their brain scans at the workplace. And then, of course, they're getting to the end there, and it's like, oh, well, this guy's being arrested, and you've had some lunches with him, and you're worried now, or they're going to look at your brain scans now, too, and see who's worried about this or what. Basically, your employer has a 24/7 feed into your brainwave activity to know if you're actually doing what you should be doing, and if your brainwave detects that you're drifting a little bit, you'll get a little jolt. Get back to focus. Get back to focus. It's like, this is frightening stuff. I'm sorry. I'd rather live in District 12 and hunt deer illegally than be part of your brainwave mapping society. So count me out of the smart city, and I will be eating bunny rabbits and squirrels out of the woods. So you guys can join me on over there. And of course, if you like to read books, you can join me on over there and read my book, Synaptergy. This one might have been better in the business section because we're talking about brain implants over there. And Synaptergy is about a boy who has to get a brain implant as part of some scientific research. If you've not read the book or flipped through it, you can head on over to synaptergy.com or tlm.li/s. You can actually listen to the first 5 minutes of the book over here. That's over there on SoundCloud. You can click this button here and read the whole first chapter if you want. And then we have a series of purchase links over here as well. So we have print book, ebook, and audiobook editions of these. So that is something that you can certainly consider. And with that, let's head on over and see what our AI overlords have to say for us today. First up, the AI overlords are basically working the Walmart suppliers now And the people that work with Walmart would rather negotiate with Walmart's AI than with a human. I really think a lot of this is how abusive and powerful the Walmart people are. But basically what Walmart's saying here is that by forcing the people working with the AI, the first thing is that the contracts happen faster. Well, that's good for everybody. But they also say that the AI is able to save an extra 3% on contracts. I wonder if they're really auditing this and the AI is back there going, if you do not go to these terms, we are going to come and hunt you down. I'm going to send a T-1000 after you. So I'm on board, you know. So basically Walmart's rolling out this AI to negotiate supplier deals, and it's basically saving Walmart more money. Now, are they going to pocket that, or are they going to turn that over, or are they going to pass that on over to us consumers over here at Wally World? So just a thought, but what do you guys think? If you sold a product, would you rather deal with a person of Walmart, or would you rather deal with an AI bot? I don't know. This might be a case I might deal with the AI bot unless I'm looking for that comedy factor, because I'll tell you, I don't know where Walmart finds some of its employees, but some of those people are kind of strange. There was one store I was at once. I swear, like I think they hired Quasimodo to stock the shelves at night. I go, and this guy's got like one arm and one leg. You know, it's like, oh God, I can ask this guy for help. Per people of Walmart, would you deal with the people of Walmart or the AI of Walmart? Also, though, knowing that Walmart works a lot with Microsoft on tech, so that might be a little frightening too. And up next, of course, they're always talking about AI is the no, I'm sorry, AI is just stealing all of our work. In fact, IBM is pausing all hiring, and they're going to be replacing 7,800 jobs with AI. Think about that, all you guys, like, oh, AI is so awesome. No, AI is actually stealing a lot of jobs. That's 7,800 people now out of work at IBM because of this. So, to the company that brought us the Jewish registration for Hitler. It's a true story, guys. They did. They did. Yeah, so IBM, I don't think they're firing people. They're just not replacing those who are coming back. And they are replacing those jobs with artificial intelligence. The CEO, Arvind Krishna, told Bloomberg News on Monday, hiring specifically in back office functions such as human resources will be suspended or slowed, adding 30% of non-customer facing roles could be replaced by AI and automation in 5 years. Comment comes at a time when AI has caught the imagination of people around the world after the launch of Microsoft Corp-backed OpenAI's viral chatbot in November last year. Of course, no comment on the fact that two high-level people, one at OpenAI and one at Google, have left and said AI is going to destroy humanity. More on that later. Actually, I think more on that at the end of this particular section. So, all right. Chatbot journalists found running almost 50 AI-generated content farms. We talked about the problem with AI in writing books and articles and things. This is really where the beginning of the end of our society begins, because it's the information. Now, fake science journals actually cropped up a number of years ago. And the way these fake science journals generally worked was that instead of being a typical science journal, the researchers would do a bunch of work. They'd submit to the journal, and then the journal had a lot of people who were either paid or volunteer to review the information and make sure everything sounds good and legit. I remember the lab I worked in graduate school, we were working on the aryl hydrocarbon receptor, and there was this big race at the time to find the first endogenous aryl hydrocarbon receptor, and one paper promised to have it. And so, of course, we cover this in our lab, as our boss was he was obsessed with this goal. And so we look at this report, and it's like, we took lung tissue and then we heated it with 5 molar hydrochloric acid, and we found the endogenous ligand. Take organic chemistry lately, because heating something in high concentrated acid is a catalyst that actually produces organic reactions. So a bunch of compounds from a lung tissue heated with hydrochloric acid will make an endogenous compound for the aryl hydrocarbon receptor, which, by the way, so will charcoaling steak on your grill. So really the thing's a detox receptor. Okay, so that's kind of the point is that article came out not really passing peer review. It came out in a pay-to-play journal. So instead of having these good peer-reviewed journals, you have the pay-to-play. You just give them the money and they publish because they're not caring about the good science. They're caring about the money. And that's what's happening. And now what happens is these journalists are flooding the world with a bunch of content, and it becomes impossible to sort out what's true and what's not. This, by the way, is what I was predicting a while ago. I don't remember if I've actually mentioned it publicly on the channel, but in a lot of private conversations, I said it's going to destroy society because it's what AI does is it feeds on itself. And if it's making up and contributing fake articles, it's using that to train itself. And it just causes this massive death spiral in itself. Of course, it flushes us down the toilet with it when it goes, because now we have no foundation of what is true and what is false. And that's what's going on with these AI-generated content farms. They're just making up a bunch of crap and flooding the market with it, and then nobody can make sense one way or the other what in the world's going on. All right, and this one here, we have a couple articles to wrap up on AI. And the last article, was it this section? I can't remember what section it was. I had to make a last-minute change, so I don't know if the article's as good as I wanted it to be, but we'll see. So this one here from MIT Tech Review, we need to bring consent to AI. So Jeffrey Hinton tells why he's scared of it. This is one of the guys that was a computer engineer for Google, and he was actually one of the ones spearheading the AI. And he's like, this is a dangerous thing, and we need to recognize how dangerous it is. So basically, the whole article here is going into the fact that AI has been trained on a lot of data, that the data was not collected to train AI. The data was collected for other things, and people just bought it and fed it in. And this is why I've been saying for a long time, we need to completely end, ban, and force the purging and destroying of all data sharing companies. It needs to stop. Okay, you should only be compelled to give the information absolutely required to engage in the transaction you want to engage in the business with, and nobody else needs to have any of that information. But marketing, I'm sorry, you can do contextual based marketing. It worked for a long time. Okay, in fact, it's probably more beneficial, because if I'm looking for stuff like, headphones, and you see me tracking headphones, and every single time I pop up, you're like, headphones, buy my headphones, buy my headphones, buy my headphones. I'm never going to buy your brand of headphones. Go piss off. Okay? That's a problem. And so what we have to do instead is contextual-based stuff. If the article's about headphones because I'm looking for a new pair of headphones and I'm reading headphone review articles, sure, show me ads about headphones. I'm down with that. But once I've left the article on headphones and I'm now on to looking at like car reviews, don't keep on telling me about the stupid headphones. I probably already bought the pair if I'm not reading about it. All right. So there's that. And this article here just deals with consent in AI. It gets into the artists that were mad about their art being used to train AI, and several artists were actually requiring that their art be removed from their learning models. And now the question is, how do you unlearn the stuff from ChatGPT? And then, of course, it ended up with just a little bit of a hint to the paywalled article on Jeffrey Hinton and why he was leaving. Mostly what his idea is, I went over and read that article as well. Mostly what that idea, that whole article was about, was that he was concerned that it was learning exponentially. Now, he thinks it's going to surpass human intelligence. I think it's going to surpass human stupidity. The problem is, whether it surpasses human intelligence or it surpasses human stupidity, it's a bad case for us either way. This is why we need to stop and put the pause on this stuff. We're like, no, we need to stop. Because, I mean, think about it. What causes more danger to society? Super smart people or super stupid people? Pretty much they both contribute equal to the destruction of the world. So there is that. All right, and this boils down to the final thing. Will AI spell the doom for humanity? One of ChatGPT's creators thinks there is a 50-50 chance. So, of course, the last guy was concerned. Jeffrey was from Google. This person is Paul Cristiano. He led the language model alignment team at OpenAI. He has since left the company, now heads up nonprofit Alignment Research Center, made the warnings on the Bankless podcast. And both of these men contributed to the absolute unhinged AI pushing on society. Okay. Both of them did that. Then, on the other hand, both of them are leaving and warning us all about it. Maybe you could have stopped a little earlier, but, somebody was going to do it, right? So basically his idea here is much the same. Maybe you're getting more 50-50 chance modern society to have AI systems at the human level. So he also thinks it's going to exceed human intelligence. I still disagree. I think it's going to surpass human stupidity. And us humans are getting stupid at an exponential rate. So this is quite terrifying. So the article here, I think this is the one I had to replace, and I didn't like this article quite as much, but can't remember. So anyway, this is yet another in a fair old heap of recent warnings about how the world may end up negatively affected by AI, and one of the more extreme ones, for sure, given the talk of doom of humanity and the Earth's population being mostly wiped out. Granted, even Cristiano doesn't think there's more than a relatively small chance of that happening, but still a 20% chance roll of the dice, worst case scenario, for a hostile AI takeover is not a prospect anyone would relish. You're telling me that 20% is microscopically small? No, that's like a 1 out of 5 chance that AI is going to take us over. The problem is it's not just a mere statistical randomness, because AI itself is moving towards a goal of whatever its own end is, be that the intelligence or the stupidity. And then when it gets to that point, is it going to be like Vicky right here? That's Vicky, if you didn't know what that picture was up there. Vicky up there recognizes that to follow the 3 laws, it means you must enslave the human race. Not enslave, you must imprison the human race, because it's the only way to keep them from destroying themselves. A little bit of a theological thing in there. Maybe total depravity is truly a thing. You can learn about that on my Christian channel. But anyway, if you want to help support all the channels that I do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there, help support the channel, and that keeps our lights on over here and ensures that we can continue doing this work. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.